to Lety Does Wonder Woman! So, I am on my way to my local drive-in theater, and I am going to go see Wonder Woman. I picked the drive-in theater because I got a little passenger with me. I mean, technically, we're not supposed to bring dogs into the drive-in theater anyway, but... Anyway, I'm really excited for Wonder Woman. Everyone has been telling me it's freaking awesome. I, really have high hopes for this movie. Especially since, you know, Batman and Superman needs to be redeemed a lot! So, I am gonna go ahead and buy my tickets now. So, I'll let you guys know what's up in a bit.
Alright guys, it's starting! And I got my pizza! And I got my Shaggy! We gotta watch the movie, Shaggy! I don't know what's going on!
Oh my gosh, guys! So the movie just ended, and the DC Extended Universe is saved! That movie didn't suck! It was good, actually! Oh my gosh, I am so happy that it was so good. Especially after Batman and Superman. But, man, it was great! I got so excited for it, and man, okay, well, I would have recorded a little earlier when I had just gotten out, or when I was leaving the theater, but I got a little lost inside of the parking lot, so actually it ended like 10 minutes ago, but I'm still like so impressed from it. Okay, well, I'm gonna save all my thoughts, and I'll see you when I get home. Hey guys, so I just came back from the drive-in, and oh my gosh, this movie was so good. But before I get into why it was so amazing, of course I have to give you the rundown of everything that I saw and everything that went down. So, pretty much, from this point on, it's going to be a bunch of spoilers. And by that I mean I'm going to try to summarize the entire movie, which might not end too well because I'm pretty bad at summarizing things, and then I'm going to tell you what I thought about it. So, if you don't want to see spoilers, this is probably the time to stop, but you can go ahead and check out some more videos on my channel because I have a bunch of things there. And yeah, so let's get started. The movie begins in Paris, where we see Diana as the curator in a museum. She has just gotten a new piece from Wayne Enterprises, which is a photograph of her and her team during the World War I era. This causes Diana to remember her past. She remembers that as a young child, she was born and raised in the Mascara, where she trained among her Amazon sisters under the rule of her mother, the Queen. She had wanted to become a warrior since she was very little, but her mother did not want her fighting. But that didn't stop her aunt from wanting to train her, and with time, she became a very powerful warrior, and by the time that she became a young woman, she was the best fighter in the Mascara. Everything is going fine for her until pilot Steve Trevor enters her life. He crash lands into the water just outside of the Mascara, and she goes to rescue him. She becomes very interested in Steve Trevor and the outside world that he speaks of because she had never seen it before. Steve Trevor tells her that there is a large war going on and that many people are dying. Diana decides that this has to be Ares and that there is no other explanation other than Ares has influenced and poisoned the minds of the humans in order to cause them to go to war. She then takes it upon herself to go with Steve Trevor in this little boat, taking the Mascara's greatest weapon, the God Killer, to go and kill Ares and stop this war. And then her and Steve Trevor go on a little sailboat for who knows how long, but eventually they arrive in London. While in London, Steve Trevor decides that he has to go and get permission from his superiors to go to Germany to the front lines in order to destroy Dr. Poison, which is the main villain trying to create a poison gas that will destroy gas masks and kill everything it touches. And then there's Ludendorff, who is just snorting a bunch of super soldier serum all the time, and he wants to go to war and he's very angry, and that's pretty much all he does. But the two of them do not get permission to go to Germany, but Steve Trevor decides that he is going to take it upon himself anyway to go there and defy orders. So he puts together a small team, and with the permission of his superior Sir Patrick and, you know, his funding, they go to Germany and take Diana with them to the front lines, where Diana does this badass, you know, sequence where she's running through no man's land, and they manage to liberate a nearby town as well, and it's all pretty cool. You know, there's this weird romance going on between Diana and Steve, and there really is no build up to it, but, you know, whatever. Anyway, they eventually decide that they are going to crash the Germans' party, and Steve just wants to go in for information, but Diana wants to kill Ludendorff, who she has decided has to be Ares because he is the cause of all evil. Even though Dr. Poison is the one making all the dangerous stuff, but that's fine. So, Steve has to stop Diana from killing Ludendorff right then and there and ruining their plan, but, I mean, Ludendorff and the others find out anyway, so Diana has this big fight-off sequence with Ludendorff where she finally kills him with the ceremonial God-Killer sword. He's dead, he's gone, but then she realizes that the war doesn't end, and that the bombs, which are filled with the incredibly deadly gas, are still being loaded into a plane to be dispersed everywhere, and she's really confused, but Steve Trevor then decides, you know, to tell her that it might be just humanity that is bad. It might not have anything to do with Ares, and that he might play a part in it as well, because everyone has their own side that they are trying to defend and willing to go to war with. And then, of course, Sir Patrick comes and reveals himself to be Ares. Actual god, Ares. In the meantime, Steve Trevor decides to go and stop the plane with the bombs because it is his duty. Diana decides that she's gonna kill Ares. So her and Ares have this huge god scale fighting sequence with a bunch of CGI and explosions and stuff ripping apart. And in Steve Trevor's process to stop the plane, he also blows himself up, which pretty much fuels Diana to just murder Ares, and that is the end of Ares, and the war does not stop. So Diana just accepts that maybe evil is within humanity, and she has taken it upon herself and decided that as an Amazon, it is her purpose, it is her job to defend all of humanity from these threats forever. So we come back to modern day Diana, still just overlooking everything that she has inside of her museum and adding that one picture to her collection, memorializing it. And the end of the movie is her just going out to be a superhero and being Wonder Woman. And yep. So overall, this movie was super amazing. I am not even kidding. The first like 80 to 90% of the film was fucking beautiful. I went in with pretty low expectations because, you know, I watched Batman and Superman, and I watched Man of Steel, and both were kind of meh. But this was wonderful. It introduced her character, it introduced her motivation. It's just so cool. And of course, you know, Gal Gadot was Well, at first when I heard that she was casted, I thought, you know, she's kind of skinny, she's more on the feminine side, so I didn't think she would do well as Wonder Woman. But seeing her in the movie just being this beautiful, strong badass, like, they played that off so well. It was amazing. The scene where they have her running across the front lines and just deflecting all the bullets and willing to go out there and put herself first before any of the other soldiers because she knew that she was the strongest was amazing. She's just so powerful and strong, and they still keep a lot of her feminine features, so I'm glad that they didn't tone that down either. You know, she's still very beautiful, she's still very strong, so it was really, really good in that sense. What wasn't all that great was after her having to accept that maybe all the evil in the world is not Ares, after her fighting with Steve Trevor about how he might be contributing to the evil in the world, and her accepting that, Ares shows up. And it's the same guy that funded their exploration there in the first place, so... okay. Way to ruin a perfectly nice little tie-up ending. And I felt like his entrance was also unnecessary because even though he is a villain in the comics, and even though he is supposed to be with Wonder Woman in that, you know, franchise, in that sense, he's supposed to be a character that interacts with Wonder Woman, he was so large scale. He was godly, and there was this really hot CGI mess. It was just all over the place. It felt unnecessary. If they had left it at Diana is helping Steve to stop Ludendorff and Dr. Poison and, you know, stop these bombs from killing more people, but she decides that, you know, all the evil in the world can't be stopped by stopping this one person, because, you know, World War II, that would have been just as amazing. It would have felt more human, it would have felt more real, but they had to introduce Ares, and really it's just, it was just kind of confusing for me. It felt really out of place from this movie where we had seen, you know, Diana interact with the humans and just kind of show off how godly she is, in the sense that she has no fear, she knows she's going to win, and she's willing to go into battle knowing that, with that confidence. And then she gets, like, her ass beat by Ares right away, and it isn't until Steve dies that she really gets that last final push. So, I don't know. I felt that was a bit unnecessary, and I'm not saying that he isn't a character that shouldn't be introduced and that she should just be completely human, because, you know, she is godly, so I just feel that him and his storyline could have been introduced in a later movie once we got, you know, her established completely and it's present day, and maybe Ares in the present day with her and possibly the Justice League fighting him would have been cooler, in my opinion, because then they would be able to focus that a bit more. I felt like the introduction of Ares just added to a bit one too many villains. So the first two villains weren't even that intimidating. They were human, they are pretty simple, their motivations are pretty simple and pretty obvious, and really, they felt like they weren't much of a threat. So I guess that's why they introduced Ares, to give this big scale threat for Diana to fight, to show off how strong she is. But I also feel like the first 80% of the movie did that just well, because she was amazing and she was strong, and I felt we got that pretty much right away. So Ares just felt unnecessary to me. Another thing that was a bit weird, and I wouldn't say unnecessary because, you know, I don't know how long they've been together, but it's Diana and Steve's relationship. So she's really curious. She's very interested in Steve. She had never met another man before, or another human. Well, not another human. A human before. I mean, she's heard about them, and she's heard that it's her duty to protect them, but when Steve actually enters her life, it's like, well, you don't know this guy. Even if you are really interested and you've heard stories about humans, this specific one you don't know. So I felt like their romance was a bit rushed, and that it just came out of freaking nowhere. I mean, I don't know how long they were on the boat together. They might have spent a lot more off-screen time together, but even through the end of the film, you know, Steve is still kind of awkward to tell her, you know, about the bad that there is in the world, and he doesn't really know how to talk to her or understand her motivations, which leads me to believe that they might not have spent a lot of time together, at least not enough for Steve to understand her completely, and vice versa. So yeah, I don't know. After they liberated the town, they shared a kiss, and then it was kind of implied that they spent the night together, but it did feel a bit rushed, and we didn't really see a lot of on-screen development. It just kind of happened in the spur of the moment, and maybe that's how they intended it to be, but she was very affected by Steve Trevor's death. And I mean, if she just considered him another human, why was she so affected by it? Because she had seen all the other humans die, you know, previously in the film, so why Steve Trevor? But I mean, it was sweet as well. They also did, you know, have some cute moments together where Steve is obviously enamored with her because she's so beautiful and strong and amazing, and he accepts her really quick as, you know, this strong woman that he is willing to, like, let handle things because he knows that she can handle it better than him, as we saw when they were liberating the town and they go, "Shield," because he remembers that and he knows what she is capable of and he knows that she can handle it. So him trying to convince everyone else, you know, that she's strong, he didn't really do that. He just kind of like hid it and wanted Diana to just do her own thing, and he was gonna support her himself, just like, okay, you go Diana, you're strong, but don't tell anyone else. So there was that, where pretty much none of the other superiors knew how strong Diana actually was and why the heck she wanted to go to the front lines. So who actually knew about Diana's involvement was very limited, and they are all dead at the end. So okay, I guess. But yeah, when they had the movie start off in modern day, I wasn't really sure how they were going to, you know, introduce her entire story and then have it come back fluidly and normally back to the present day. But I think they did that very well. So, you know, overall, I think this is probably the best movie in the extended universe, and possibly the best movie, you know, of the year, superhero movies. Like, it was really good. And I am just so glad that they made it so well. I'm so glad that this did well, I should say, because there is so many ways that this could have been really bad, but pretty much, aside from some little things here and there plot-wise, and, you know, the lack of a strong villain, pretty much even Ares wasn't a strong villain, he was just powerful and godly, I can ignore all of that. Because in the end, this was an introduction to Diana. It was an introduction to her becoming Wonder Woman. It's an origin story, and I feel like we got that. I feel like we got that, and I feel like they did it very well. So if you haven't gone to see this movie, you totally should, because it is definitely, you know, something that is going to be remembered, and it's something that people have been looking forward to for a long time, and I'm not disappointed, and I don't think they are either. So go watch this movie. It was amazing, and pretty much that's all I got for you for now. So if you think I missed anything, if you have any thoughts about what I said, or if you feel a different way about this movie, tell me in the comments. If you like what you saw, you could subscribe to my channel somewhere. There's a button somewhere. Or you can check out some more of my videos, and you can check out my Patreon from that card up there. But I will see you next time. So, bye.
Hey everyone, I'm Sinclair. And I'm Bonnie. And thank you so much for watching this video. If you like what you saw, you can subscribe to my mommy's channel by clicking that circle button over there. You can also watch some more videos over here. And there is a Patreon set up you can find by clicking that square button. Goodbye! Osh, Fuji-hamsa. Osh, okay, I put you back. Okay, I put you back. Okay.